Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. It's on standard reporting that you can find within Business Central. My name is Danusha Jolliffe, and I'll be facilitating the session today alongside Ian Robinson. So a few housekeeping items before we get started. Please do use the question box to ask any questions, and they'll be answered as we go along. If we run out of time, or if your question requires a bit more of a longer answer, then we can answer it offline directly. And don't forget, a link to watch will be sent out afterwards that you can share with your colleagues as needed. So as I said, I'm the marketing director here at T-Vision, and I've been with the business for about 5 years and about 20 years of marketing experience. Ian's going to be delivering the demo. He's been here about 5 years as well, and he's going to take care of the rest of the session. So just to give you the agenda for what we'll be talking about today. So standard reporting. Reports are everywhere, and Ian's going to show you exactly where you can find them. They're on the Business Central pages. They're built in as standard reports within Excel, the Microsoft Stack, account schedules, and also Word layout reports. So Ian, over to you.
All right, thanks, Danusha. Hopefully you can see my screen. So hi guys. One of the reasons we're doing a webinar on reporting, we've done one before, but I thought it was worth doing one again. Some comments I've heard from prospective clients or people coming from other systems that they're not overly impressed with the reports in Business Central. And I think that's because when you're new to Business Central and you come and you look at this screen, there's no menu that says reports. And if you go to sales and there's nothing here that says sales reports. So people probably think, you know, where are the reports? We want to see our reports. How do I do my job without reports? Once you get used to the system, however, you kind of realize, yep, reports are actually everywhere within the system. When you know what you're looking for, they're really easy to find. So the first thing I say is almost every screen within Business Central is a report. So if we look at our chart of accounts, for example, I have a list of all my GL accounts with their balances, and I'm just going to remove that filter. In effect, this is a trial balance. I'm seeing it on my screen. So it is a report. It's not a printed report that perhaps people are used to, or a PDF report or an Excel report. It's an actual live in-your-face report within Business Central. And the nice thing about this report, it's interactive. Any of the numbers on here, you can click on it and see where did this number come from. And you can get the background information of all the general ledger entries that make up a number on the report. So it's a living report. It's not one of those static, boring, old printed reports that we used to use back in the day. This is a little bit, you know, it's not exciting. It's a trial balance. It's nothing more. But you have the ability to apply filters to this report. So you could filter it for a specific range of GL accounts. You could filter it for a date range, for example. I'm going to add a date range filter. And let's put in from the 1st of January last year, 01/01/21. You notice I'm not putting in all the slashes and everything. The system's clever enough to figure that out to the 31st of December 21. And you will notice that as soon as I did that, this net change column changed, and now it's showing me the movement in each of these accounts for this date range. So suddenly, not just a trial balance that shows me the balance of the accounts, now it shows me the movement within the accounts for a date range. I could add another filter for a department, for a cost center, for a customer channel, and I'd be seeing a trial balance with the movement in those accounts for that particular dimension. So suddenly it becomes all sorts of reports just on my screen, as long as I can figure out how to use these filters. There are other places where exactly the same thing happens. So anywhere where you get that kind of list view, if we go and look at posted sales invoices, for instance, this is another good place to look. And we want to get some kind of sales report out of the system. So I just go to posted sales invoices, The system gives me a list of all our posted sales invoices. Again, I can filter this list to show me something useful. Perhaps I just want to see what were the sales this year. I can put in a filter. I can look for the posting date, which is down there somewhere by the P's. Oh, I've gone too far. Posting date. And I can type in from the 1st of the 1st, 22 up to today. And I just put a T for today. And as soon as I move off there, you can see it's figured out what today's date is and it's put it in for me. And I'm seeing those are my sales this year that are posted on the system. But I can get even cleverer than this. I could save this view by clicking the save icon. And I could call this my sales up to the 16th of March 2022 view. And again, it's a living report. But that's not so fantastic. What if I wanted the sales for last year? And I've already created a report for the sales for last year and I've saved it. And you can see it's from the 1st of the 1st, 21 to the 31st of the 12th, 21. But if I click on that, I actually got there by typing in a formula. I didn't type in dates. So I said it's the current year, go back 2 years and add 1 day. That gets me the first day of last year. Up to the end of the current year, go back 1 full year. That gets me the end of last year. We could create something similar. And what if we wanted last month's sales? How would I create that? I type in a formula that says, get the current month end, take away 2 months from that and add 1 day. That gets me the beginning of last month. Up to the current month end, just subtract 1 month. And as soon as I press enter, you can see it's showing me the dates for last year. And it's figured out there were 28 days in February. I didn't have to remember that. The system has done it for me. I can save this view by clicking this little save icon. And then come July, if I open this view again, it would show me June's sales. It would always manually calculate based on today's date which date range to show me. So suddenly it becomes a really dynamic report that moves along with you. You can still drill through it and it's on the screen. You don't need to print things out and give them to other people anymore. You can just teach them, this is how you see the information that you're looking for. And it's interactive. You can see where it came from, not just what the number is. Going back to your home screen, and again, when I say they're everywhere, even your landing page, it's just a massive report. This is more of a KPI type of report where it's showing me these are outstanding documents that need some attention. I've highlighted some of these in red to show me, oh, it's meta criteria that I think deserves special attention. And this is completely customizable. You can choose, if you're not interested in purchases, you can hide this section. If you want it to highlight when it gets to 5 sales invoices need attention, you can hit the personalize button up here, personalize, and you can start changing the things on this screen. And here within activities, I can set up my queues. I can choose how I want them to work. I can change those criteria. And you can see for my ongoing sales orders, when it gets to 10, make it go red. That's one that I've customized. And that's this one here. So because it's reached 11, I've forced it to show me red. So it's, again, an interactive, customizable report page. I'm not going to do any more changes there. And
Ian?
Yes?
Sorry, there's a question just come in. I don't know why the camera's not pointing this way. Someone has asked, if there are things that is, for example, purchasing, how do you change it to see other reports?
All right, and again, that's really easy. I said this is customizable. You can customize this entire screen to be something else. So I think I'm logged in as a business manager. I can just come to this gear icon. I can change my settings. And instead of being, yep, I'm a business manager, I can choose, oh, show me as if I was an accountant, or show me as if I was a project manager, sorry, or a manufacturing manager. And my entire home screen would change. It would change the menus that I get up at the top. It would change these Q tiles that I'm getting here. It would give me different options more relevant to whichever role I chose there. So you can even customize it from scratch. Yep, you can customize when these tiles fire. And again, they're interactive. So those 11 sales orders, I click on it, it takes me through, these are the 11 sales orders. I can chase somebody to do something about this, or I can do something about them myself, find out why they're not being processed, what's happening in the warehouse.
So could you filter on the paid ones only then within that? Someone's asked a question about how do you use the filter paid on posted sales invoices? Is that a new filter? Is that a different filter?
Yep, so whichever screen you want to go to, so if you go to your posted sales invoices, I'm not quite sure if there's a paid flag. We'll see. So back to the posted sales invoices. And you can see we've already got a paid filter, which we've saved, where it's not cancel and it's not closed, or sorry, and it is closed, that means that it's paid. If it's not closed, it's still unpaid. So you just need to show those columns and you can actually see it here. You can filter by them, you can sort by them. It's just, as I say, it's just a matter of figuring out what are those filters that I need to put on my screen to show me the information I'm looking for. My home screen, beyond just these Q tiles up here telling me what's going on, I can embed a built-in charts from within the system. I'm looking at my top customers, but again, I can change this. I can choose different charts. I can select a chart to show income versus expenses, aged accounts payable, etc. I can customize the way that I'm seeing the charts, so I can look at it by day, week, month, etc. I'm not limited to just looking at this. I can embed external reports if I'm using something like Power BI. I've got my favorite accounts. I'm looking at these are my cash accounts I'm very interested in. So every day I get a report of how much money do we have in the bank. Every time I log into the system, it's on my home page. So I've got these KPI type reports, as well as the list style reports of just looking at the other screens. And then there are the standard reports that exist within Business Central. It's just, where do you find them? So for instance, we looked at chart of accounts and I showed you there were a couple of reports within the chart of accounts. Sorry, there's report, a couple of trial balances, GL register report, and over here there's a trial balance by period report. But if I go and use the search button and I just type in trial and I start typing balance, there's a section here, reports and analysis, and it's showing me the top 3 trial balance type reports, but it's telling me there are 13 different reports. I've clicked on that 13 and it's showing me all these different types of trial balances I can produce versus budget, detailed trial balance, a closing trial balance, trial balance for the previous year. There's even a thing called a vendor trial balance and customer trial balances. And if you're not sure what one of these reports does, click on it, fill in your parameters. On this one, I know it does like a date, so I'll just give it last year to the 31st of the 12th, 20, and you can preview that report and you can see what does this report actually spit out. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Here we go. Oh, it gives me for my different types of customers, which posting group they belong to. For each customer, what's the change during that period and what's the change for the financial year to date. Okay, so now I know what this report is. If it's something that people ask me for in future, oh, I know there's a report for that. I can print it out. But You'll notice again, it used those filters. I'm going to choose a different report completely, one that's got a few more options, which is my customer item sales report. So I want to see which items am I selling to which customers. And in reports and analysis, there's a customer items sale reports. So I click on that one, and it's going to offer to use the filters that I used last time I ran this report, or I can come down, I can change them. Each report always, generally asks for some options where it says what's the start date, the end date, do you want it in foreign currency, local currency. This one just asks me, do I want a new page for customer? And then it allows me to put in my filters again. So on this one, I can choose which customers I want to filter for, or which customer posting group, or I can add even more filters, or which item do I want, or I could add the item category as a filter. And then again, I can preview the report. And there's not many lines on this one. Again, it's printed out a nice report for each customer, all the items that we've sold them, quantities and values. But I'm not limited to just looking at that on screen or sending it to a printer. I get an option to send to. So I can send it as a PDF document or a Word document. It will look exactly the same as we just saw it now. I can also choose to send it to Excel. And if I send it data and layout, it will create an Excel spreadsheet that looks very much like the report we just saw. Or I can send it as data only, and it's just going to send a table of data that Excel can use to recreate that report. So if I choose that option and say OK, and it's going to create an Excel spreadsheet for me. And suddenly I've got the information in Excel. I can use my Excel skills to turn this report into something fantastic, to send to my board of directors, to send to my sales team, to tell them what's happening. And I chose data only, so it looks ugly, but anybody who's familiar with using pivot tables would realize this is actually the perfect format for creating a pivot table report. I'm not going to create one now, that would take a little bit too long, but the idea is there. So you're not restricted to on the system. Suddenly you can start sending stuff to Excel. And it's not just those reports that you can send to Excel. Again, this screen, which is a report in itself, where I can see all my accounts, the net change for the period that I've selected, the balance. On any of these pages, there is usually that little button up here, send it to Excel. And it's going to send these exact same rows with these exact same columns into an Excel spreadsheet.
Ian,
yeah.
There was a question saying, is filtering on chart of accounts available only for global dimensions, or can it be used for all dimensions?
Wow, that's a very good question. So it depends. So your global dimensions, you're guaranteed to always get them as filters. Then you've got those next 6 dimensions, the named dimensions. You should be able to filter on those depending on which version you're using. I'm using BC, so I get, I've only set up 3, so I'll see 3 on my system. But if you go beyond those 6 and you can have, you know, dozens, if not hundreds of other dimensions, those aren't very easy to filter on. Then you'd have to start using a thing called account schedules. And that's where you can say, I want to use these specific dimensions as my filter criteria for a report. That's a different topic, your analysis by dimension, and you know, it's a little bit more advanced. One of our consultants can help you get that set up, or even the help desk if it's a really quick and simple one, to get at those buried dimensions that are a little bit deeper in the system. But coming back to this one, so I just said open this in Excel, and it's opened that exact same trial balance with the movement for the date period I selected and the current balance of the GL accounts exactly as we were seeing on screen. Again, that's now a report. I can do something with it, you know, choose to highlight certain accounts, send it over to my financial manager to say, oh, have a look at this, please. So that's the list type of reports, which you can show in Excel, show on the screen. You've got your KPI kind of reports, which you see on your landing page. You also get other types of reports, exception reports. When something happens, give me a report to tell me that it's happened. So if you're using Business Central, you've got access to other things on the Microsoft stack. One of those things is Power Automate. It used to be called Flow. Now it's Power Automate Flow. You can get to it from within Business Central, and I've set up a pretty simple one to show you. So if I just start typing in my Power Automate Flow, just a few words from each one, and I can manage my flows. And this takes me to exactly the same place as if I had clicked up here to get to my Microsoft stack, and I clicked on Power Automate Flow that way or this way. It kind of gets me to the same place. I've created an exception report here, and let me just show you how it works. So it uses a criteria that when a record changes within Business Central, so on the payment terms table in my Kronos UK Limited company, when a record changes, go and fetch the record that has changed, and then based on a condition, if it's anything to do with the COD payment terms, cash on delivery, then do this, send this type of email to somebody. If it's not the COD, then do this, send a different email or possibly send an email to somebody else. So now I can start getting a message when somebody starts fiddling with the payment terms. I get an email in my inbox saying somebody's changed the payment terms. And it doesn't have to be payment terms. It could be if somebody's changed a credit limit on a customer, for instance. I can have an exception report that tells me, oh, somebody's made a change that you should be aware of here. Those Power Automate flows, they're not just triggered by something happening in your database here. You can put them on a timer, and you can say at 6 o'clock every morning, go and get this information, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and distribute it via Teams to all the Teams members in the sales department. Things like that. It's not even just limited to Business Central. You can have it taking information, look in a folder to see if there's a file. If it's a CSV, put it into Excel format and send it to somebody. So it doesn't even have to be Business Central. It's just another one of those Microsoft tools that lets all the different Microsoft products speak to each other in some way. So it's very nice to use for exception reporting.
Ian?
Yes?
Someone has just said they don't think their system has this export to Excel button that you've mentioned. Can you explain why? Or
all right, yep. So there's a couple of things. This did fool me very briefly. So it used to be, it was one of the buttons up here where you had the export to Excel. It's moved to this funny little icon over here, your sharing button,
right, okay,
where you can open in Excel or share to Teams. But you've also, because of GDPR, this is not turned on by default. By default, it's turned off. You would have to ask your system admin or your super user to give you access to export to Excel. That has to be turned on user by user. So if you don't have it, maybe your super user needs to turn it on for you. And that's all to do with GDPR legislation.
Also just had a question saying, how do you create a new Power Automate flow? I think that might be a...
Okay, that's, again, well, I'm not going to teach you how to use Power Automate. If you search on the web, use Google, there's some nice intros on how you can use Power Automate, how you can log in. It gives you an example of how you can get a daily weather forecast sent to your inbox for your area. But it gives you the opportunity to create an account and play with that. And you do, once you kind of have got an idea yourself, you can do it from within here, search for Power Automate Flow, and you can create new ones. But I would suggest follow one of those tutorials, possibly on YouTube, First, that kind of walks you through the process of how to set a really simple one up. See if it works for you. If it does, by all means, have a go. You can't break anything just by reading data.
And I was going to say, so do people have access to Power Automate within Business Central? I think you showed just earlier how you can get to it a different way.
Yep, so if you have Business Central, you've got a very limited license for Flow. It doesn't have all the features, but it's got most of the features. You can search for Power Automate Flow within Business Central, or you can go up to your apps section. You might have to search in all apps, but you'll also find your access to Power Automate Flow up there. So there's a couple of ways you can get it.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep, so that's the web services. So we've done list type reports, matrix type reports. We've done your KPI type reports. We've done exception reports. You've also got your more kind of business intelligence type reports. And again, that's built into the system if you search for account schedules. And I think we have done a webinar in the past on account schedules specifically. So I'll just very briefly talk about them here. Again, you get some built in, and these are all fully customizable. You can create your own. I just created a silly little one yesterday, which just looks at my vet accounts. So these are the GL accounts that it's looking at. I put some formulas in just to show that it can be done. And I created that all from scratch. I can look at the overview and I can see, based on the filters that I've set up here, these are the balances of my various vet accounts. It gives me an idea of what my liability is going to be as I move forwards. I'm not just limited to looking at the balance of those rows that I chose. I can look at the movement in them. For this period, very little movement because I haven't posted many sales this year or last year. I can even do fancy column layouts where I created this one as well, which shows me 12 months, January to December. Well, to December if I scroll a little bit to the right. And again, this is a kind of a matrix or row list type report. Lo and behold, I've got that button. I can export this to Excel. I can do even more with it. I can change the periods that I'm looking at. I can put in filters for my departments, my cost centers, etc. I can use analysis views in here as well if I really, really wanted to. So you've got your more detailed slice and dice kind of business intelligence type report built into the system if you know to look for account schedules. And again, 100% customizable. You can go to town comparing actuals to budget, this year to last year, month-on-month movements, just looking at the balances. You can put in formulas, work out percentages. The choices there are yours. There's one kind of final type of report that's built into the system, and that's those customer-facing documents. So when you send a sales invoice or a credit note or a purchase order to your customers and your vendors, you can customize them yourself. They are, in effect, very simple little reports. Now, this is something, please don't do this on your live system. Go into your test system, have a play around if you want to. Then you can take your skills over to your live system. Don't play in the live system. These are your customer-facing documents. But if I look for my custom report layouts, if I spell it correctly, I've got my custom report layouts here. And this kind of shows me a whole host of reports where I can play with the layout of those reports. So I've got sales invoices here. And you'll notice I've got quite a few different sales invoices because I can highlight one of them. I can make a copy of it if I want to fiddle with a copy instead of with my live version. And for any of these, let's have a look at, well, yeah, the one that we've got highlighted. I can say export this layout, and it's going to export it into Microsoft Word for me. And once it is in Microsoft Word, and I'm just going to open that. Once it's within Microsoft Word, I can start playing with the layout of this report. So if I've got some custom graphics I want to put in, if I want to put in some boxes around some of these numbers, and if I have the developer tab activated on my system, I can even show the XML mapping, and that's where these custom fields from within Business Central, how they get pasted into the document. And it does look horribly complicated on this side, so maybe this is something for a super user to look at. But these are all the fields that are available to pull onto this page to add to my report. So these ones are up in the header, and as you can see, there's loads of them that I can add up here. We've only used a handful of them on this report. And as I scroll further and further down, I'll eventually come to the actual lines of the report. That's this section over here. These are all the fields that we can put into the lines of the report. You can change it, you can make it look the way you want. When you're finished, you save it, and you can come back here and you can say layout, import that layout that I've just changed. And you have updated your customer-facing documents yourself. Again, you don't have to ask us to do it for you. You can do it yourself with all of those available fields. Beyond that, you still have options. If you haven't got enough reporting already to keep you busy, you've got your third-party add-ons. You can use a product which I really like, Jet, to get your data.
I was literally about to ask you. Someone sent a message saying you haven't mentioned Jet yet, Ian.
Yep, Jet. I love Jet. Jet's a fantastic tool. Within Excel, you basically press a button or two and it imports data into Excel from your database, and it can have really fancy calculations and great looking graphics, pivot tables with slices and dices. You can really make some stunning reports, or you could use a tool, Power BI from Microsoft, or even from other third-party suppliers. It's not the only one on the block. There are literally dozens of third-party reporting tools that you can use. We like Jet, we like Power BI. There are others that you can use if you really, really want to. So, KPI type reports on your landing page. Anywhere where you see a list within Business Central, it's a report. You can filter it if you can figure out your filters and turn it into a report that you can save and use again and again. There's the built-in reports, and any screen or any built-in report you can send to Excel, and you can work on it even further as a report from there. You can do exception type reports using Automate Flow. You've got your BI type reports using account schedules within the system, and your third-party products outside the system, Jet, BI, Power BI, etc. So you have literally everywhere you look within the system, as Danusha said right at the beginning, there are reports. That's it. Any more questions, Danusha? There were quite a few there.
There were quite a few. No, I've been asking them to you as we've been going along.
Okay, right, I'm done, guys. Thank you very much. Back to you, Danusha.
So thank you so much, everyone, for attending. I hope that's got you inspired as to some of the reports that you can do. As always, the webinar will be sent out as a link. You'll also be able to find it on the website. You could also sign up to any of the other webinars. And actually, there's quite a few Jet webinars on demand if you wanted to watch those, if that's of interest to you. If you've got any further questions, do get in touch. And likewise, if you have ideas for webinars, then do get in touch as well. Thank you so much for attending today.